in Sudan, in Uganda rather, our top story where police rather in Sudan have denied using live ammunition during Saturday's mass protest. On Saturday, tens of thousands took to the streets in various cities across Sudan, including in the capital Khartoum, in the so-called March of Millions. For the latest, Naba Muhaddin joins us live from Khartoum. Naba, welcome to Africa Live. Thank you for joining us. Naba, can you hear us? Naba, Sudan's military has given the British envoy Giles Lever a deadline to leave the country after he announced support for the protests. Can you give us more details on that, Naba?
Yes, some news saying, and now it's confirmed, that the British ambassador in Khartoum was given 21 days deadline to leave Sudan after he announced his solidarity with the pro-democracy protesters, and also he called on the military generals to adhere to the power sharing agreement signed in 2019, and he condemned the military takeover, and he named it with a takeover, and he expressed the United Kingdom solidarity with the protesters and condemning of the takeover. He also called on the military generals to go back on talks with the civilian leaders and to release the political activists and political members of political parties members that they were detained in the day of the coup. He also put the responsibility of any excessive violence against the protesters on the security forces, and he also put the responsibility of the torture. There is some news that the political detained, the political members and activists, they are tortured in the detention, so he put the responsibility on the security forces. After he published this video, just 2 days after that, he has received a warning and a deadline to leave the country in 21 days.
All right, Naba, it's a day after some of the biggest protests Sudan has seen in years. What's the mood like really over there?
The bridges are opened now, and the main streets are opened, and the downtown and the center of Khartoum is opened, but people are still fearing a sense of insecurity or any riots because the protesters escalated after the big protests. The protesters escalated the situation right now by blocking the streets again, by barricades, and announcing escalatory steps, including night marches and including public strikes. So now the shops are still closed, the gas stations, the banks, hospitals. We can say life in Khartoum is paralyzed right now. There is also growing calls among professional bodies to go in a comprehensive civil disobedience, including Central Bank of Sudan is still closed, and the main institutions and governmental bodies are still closed for a week after the military takeover.
All right, Naba, you spoke of a sense of insecurity. Now, is there any sense that a return to a transitional government is in the works? From your perspective, how do you see it?
Actually, the situation is still unclear because the political parties and political activists and protest blocs are refusing any talks with the military generals. All they want is the punishment for the excessive use of violence, the punishment of all of the crimes since 2019 military coup. They also say they don't want any compromisement or any talks with the generals. They just want the power to be handed over to civilians. In the same time, there is internal efforts and external efforts by international community to put them, the civilians and generals, back on tables again. But there is a silence. Officially, there is a silence. The Prime Minister is still absent from the political scene. Only the political parties that the military took over the power from them, they are refusing any talks with the generals. So maybe the pressure of the international community, especially US and EU and other countries and international blocs, maybe the pressure will put the military and civilians on tables again. We might see a new talks and negotiations, just like what happened in 2019 after the ouster of al-Bashir. But the only challenge right now is the protesters. They don't want any power sharing agreement with the generals because they said they can't guarantee the generals to take over the power again. So all they want right now is to exclude the military generals from the political scene. And also they think the parties have contributed to the sense of the turmoil. So right now the protesters want technocratic government headed by the Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok, and the military to be in the positions of defense and interior ministries.